to use it for my thing.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
It's a normal day in the United States, the sun shining for the moment. Suddenly, an ear-deafening explosion rains down on New York City. The World Trade Center was just hit by a hijacked plane of terrorists. There's dust everywhere, people screaming, and evacuation begins. Thousands are trapped in the 110-story buildings, making their last calls to their loved ones. What would it have felt like to be on the receiving end of this phone call? The 19 hijackers not only killed and injured thousands, but changed how the United States combats terrorism forever. Even though I didn't witness 9/11, I firmly believe that it is one of the most important parts of modern United States history. Today we're going to be looking at the attackers and what they did, the United States the day of the attack, and what happened in the United States as a result. We're going to start with the intended plot of 9/11. 19 hijackers associated with Al-Qaeda boarded 4 planes on East Coast airports. It's believed that they lived in the United States for about a year, taking pilot lessons prior to the attack. The first plane hit the North Tower near the 80th floor at about 8:45 a.m., instantly killing and trapping thousands. At this point, evacuation of the World Trade Center began. 18 minutes later, a second plane hit the South Tower around the 60th floor, and a massive explosion erupted. It's at this point that the United States began to understand that we were under attack. At 9 a.m., the South Tower collapsed in a cloud of dust. 45 minutes later, the third plane hit the west side of the Pentagon military headquarters. At 10 a.m., the North Tower collapsed. According to History.com, History Editors 2010, only 6 people still in the towers at the time of collapse survived. The fourth plane happened much later in the day, as this was a very delayed flight, so people on this flight already knew of the hijackings. When they realized that they were on a hijacked plane, they attempted to overturn the hijackers, but in the process flipped the plane over and sped upwards of 500 miles per hour into a field in Pennsylvania. Suspected targets of this plane include the Capitol, the White House, and Camp David. Now that we've looked at what went down on 9/11, we're going to look at the United States the day of 9/11. New York was virtually shut down on 9/11. According to Serge Skimerman, 2001 New York Times, New York achieved levels of horror and destruction only seen in war. It's the financial capital of the world, and the towers stood for 25 years. Transportation was virtually halted, and no power was left in Manhattan. Governments around the world discussed helping the United States in retaliation strikes, and these countries evacuated their major cities as fear of being targeted next. As fear of unknown targets, President Bush was shuttled around the entire day. He returned home at about 8:30 p.m. and addressed the United States from the Oval Office. It was in this speech that his administration's new policy was formed. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbor them. On September 14th, he visited Ground Zero, the remnants of the World Trade Center. He helped rescue workers find the remaining survivors. It's here that he uttered his most famous words: "I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you, and the people who knocked down these buildings will hear from all of us soon." According to Britannica.com, no date, no author, President Bush's approval ratings went from 55 to 90% based on how he handled 9/11. Almost 3,000 people died the day of 9/11. All 19 terrorists died, and most of the people that died were at the World Trade Center, including over 400 emergency personnel that risked their lives for the safety of others. Now that we've looked at America the day of 9/11, we're going to look at what America has done to prevent a 9/11 attack. The biggest change in America has been in airport security. Since 9/11, TSA has hired 5,000 screeners and stopped private screening, which was the main way of security. According to Michael Kleckner, Journal of Transportation Security 2019, only 5% of checked baggage was screened prior to 9/11. After 9/11, a law was passed saying that 100% of checked baggage must be screened. Planes have also undergone a little bit of a change as well. The reason that terrorists were able to hijack the plane so easily is because they could walk right into the cockpit. Since 9/11, a door has been added so that a door between the cockpit and the rest of the cabin has been added so that no one can go into the cabin and do this. America has since entered an era of homeland security, and this branch of government has been expanded as well. Hopefully you've learned a little more about the 9/11 attacks and how it has impacted our nation and the heartbreak it has caused. Today we looked at the plot of the attackers, the U.S. the day of the attack, and what the United States did to prevent another 9/11 attack. So next time you're in the airport and get annoyed about how long it takes to go through security, just remember that extra hour you may spend going through security in the airport may be preventing you from being a victim of another 9/11 attack.